Hello and welcome to my second YouTube video. This video is going to talk about grip. There are a few other grips out there. The thumbs up grip, which when I played timpani, I used the thumbs up grip, and the traditional grip I used when I was in high school and I was playing brushes. And my teacher had me, do the circles with my left hand with a traditional style grip. But my teacher in high school taught me match grip, and so did both of my professors when I was in college. So I think it's the most versatile grip because obviously I started on snare drum, but then moved to xylophone, and if I were playing like a multi-percussion piece with a bunch of stuff right in front of me, it seemed to make the most sense to play match grip. Okay, so first we're going to discuss how you grip the stick generally, but how you just pick up the stick. I see a lot of students, or I did in years past, with the wrong sort of handle on the stick. All right, some students had it all the way down here, and some students had it all the way up here. Now, when you have it all the way up there, you have to work too much to get the stick to contact the head and come back up. All right, and you really can't play complicated passages when the stick's up there. It's just too hard. When the stick is all the way down here, all right, I sort of feel like the stick is just a little bit out of control, a little bit unwieldy in the stroke action. So what I like to tell students of mine was that it should be about an inch from the bottom your pinky should be. So there's actually black marks on this pair of drumsticks. I guess I illustrated my point kind of, with black marks. I don't know. But like I said, about an inch from the bottom. And this way you get kind of the best of both worlds. You have enough shoulder length to play 16th note passages, triplet passages, flam passages, and you don't feel like the stick is unwieldy. Now let's talk about fulcrum. All right, fulcrum is one part of the grip. It's between your forefinger and thumb. All right, imagine a nail is going through your forefinger, your thumb, the stick, and your thumb. All right, and imagine this nail is parallel to the floor, meaning there would be a straight line right here in accordance with the nail, and the floor is obviously a straight line. In addition to your fulcrum, I'd like to talk about the contact the two fingers, your thumb and your forefinger, have with the stick. I've seen many students do it many different ways. Some students do it like this, which is incorrect, and some students do it like this, which is really hard to do for me actually, and also incorrect. You should have the whole pad of your thumb on the stick. All right. Also, you should have the stick resting in the first knuckle of your forefinger, meaning there are obviously two knuckles, and the stick should be resting at, call it the crook of your forefinger. Finally, let's talk about what your other three fingers are doing and the pressure you need to have on the stick. Now, the other three fingers should be on the stick, all right? With a little bit less pressure than your fulcrum. Above all else, I think, and one of the most important uh, factors in gripping the drumstick is just to stay relaxed. And that's easier said than done. Now, another aspect of holding the drumsticks the way I'm teaching you, and it also plays a big part in relaxation, is what I call the C or the reverse C. Um, so check this out. Uh, with the sticks right in front of you, notice there is an opening right here or right here. All right. A lot of younger drummers, I even see it all across the board. Will close that up, so it looks more like that rather than that. That's what I'm looking for, and that breeds relaxation. That says to me that your thumb is more relaxed, your finger is more relaxed, and by extension, your hands and your wrist and your forearm and your bicep and your tricep and your shoulder. All right. Also, that all those muscles play a somewhat less important part of relaxation, but still a part. Okay, so now let's talk about setup. I always learned that the top rim and batter head, I guess there's about 3/8 of difference between the rim and the batter head, it's just a little bit lower, should be equal with your belt buckle. Meaning if you were standing, as I usually played, or sitting, no matter the case, it still should be equal. Um, I'm not saying anything about setting up the drum set, the toms and cymbals and hi hat, whatever. You can set that up any way you want, any way that feels comfortable, because they're definitely different playing surfaces, and they don't require as much finesse, I'll call it. Here's why I think that setup is important. If the snare drum is too low, then your hand position is too low. And I feel like that doesn't put the rest of the muscles you're trying to utilize with playing snare drum into a proper position. All right, they feel a little slack. If the snare drum is too high, then I feel like that puts too much tension on those muscles. And by those muscles, I mean the wrist, forearm, bicep, tricep, delt, I guess, and shoulder. All right. So too high, that means a little too much tension. So that would mean before you even play, you would be starting with tension, and then the exercise, whatever you plan to play, if you're sort of tense doing that, then it'd be even more tension. That wouldn't be a good thing. Um, I always subscribe to the two triangle rule, and you'll see photographs of each triangle. If you followed the minutes preceding this, you should now be ready to play a stroke. It's very important that so when you set up to the drum, like this, and this may sound kind of hard to understand, but that you take the stick up and put the stick back down straight, not at an angle like this or an angle like this. Case in point, when I was in high school, I sort of brought my left hand in just like this. And I had been playing like that for, since I started in 5th grade. And I didn't realize it. And one of the first lessons I had at college, my teacher pointed it out to me. And I was like, what are you talking about? I can play all this stuff. I got into this school. I was feeling pretty good about myself. And she said, you do something very strange with your left hand. And I thought, well, geez. And then I looked at it, and I did do something pretty strange with my left hand. So what she had me do was try the first page and the second page of Stick Control which you should know is just eighth notes alternating. For a couple months, I had to do that, and I gradually build up speed and all that. But I don't want you to go through that, and that brings me to another point. That in high school, I think young players get ahead of themselves because there's all this music thrown at you. Stuff with 16th notes, accents, flam patterns, polyrhythms, um, rolls, double stroke rolls, and marching band. All this stuff, and I think young players lose sight of actually performing the stroke the correct way. That's what I'm trying to help you to do. So the last thing I'll talk about is the relationship between your wrist and the drum when you're playing. I've had pretty good luck in telling young men and women to feel like there's some air beneath their right hand or their right elbow and their left elbow, or just feel like there's a void, like something can pass through it. In that way, with your elbow just a little bit farther out, you can control your wrist a little bit better and therefore get the wrist somewhat parallel with the drum head. Imagine there's a line that goes right through your wrist, and obviously the drum head has a line, or there's a line drawn across the top of the drum head, and imagine those two lines are parallel. All right. I know that most drummers I see don't get the wrist completely parallel with the drum head, and even I think, don't exactly do that. But it's important to do, and here's the reason why. When your wrist is like this, you're using kind of a hybrid of strokes, meaning sort of a molar stroke or thumbs up stroke, and sort of the match grip, which I'm trying to teach you. All right, you need to get your wrist more level to get the full power of the wrist. And I believe, and I do not have a medical degree, but I believe it's the extensor digitorum, something like that. That about wraps it up. Thank you very much for watching this video.